All right, in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to write a personal profile. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to search UBC personal profile, and that will bring us to write your personal profile UBC. So I'm using this as an example, but you can use these the ideas that I'm going to talk about here. You can use it for any kind of application. You can use it for any kind of scholarship thing. You can use it for anywhere where they're asking you to reflect about yourself and ask yourself what makes you special. You can use something like this. Okay, so let's kind of go through this a bit together. So this is UBC. Write your personal profile. The personal profile is a crucial section in your UBC application. This is your chance to tell us about the things that are important to you, your significant achievements, what you've learned from your experiences, and the challenges you've overcome. It's our chance to determine whether you're a good fit for UBC and if you'll receive an entrance scholarship. All right, who must write a personal profile? You're a high school student applying to any degree on UBC's Okanagan or Vancouver campus, so that probably applies to you if you're going to apply to UBC, and so we can go on. Preparing for the personal profile, each personal profile question requires short essay question responses, so you'll want to think about your answers before you start your online application. Here are 3 tips to keep in mind. Number 1, take the time to reflect. Instead of simply listing your accomplishments and experiences, tell us what you've learned from them. Number 2, be specific. Use details to provide context and elaborate on your answers. And 3, be true to who you are. Don't focus on what you think we want to hear. Use your unique voice to tell us what you want to say. You'll note that all 3 of these were things that I mentioned in my lessons on how to reflect. So the personal profile really is it's a reflection, but it's probably like the highest stakes reflection you'll have done up to this point. So you can treat all the reflections that you have to do in all your classes and stuff as practice of getting to this point, writing your personal profile for UBC or whichever school you want to go to or things that you want to apply to. All right, so depending on which degrees you apply to, you'll be asked to answer some or all of the following questions in your personal profile. And so we'll look at the first one. Tell us who you are. How would your family, friends, and or members of your community describe you? If possible, please include something about yourself that you are most proud of and why. So there you go. Something that you are proud of and why. Literally exactly the same as the questions that we saw in the reflection lesson. And so you can use the same techniques to kind of answer this kind of question. Just to review, you're thinking of a few different things. You're deciding what you would like what you have the most to say. You're giving specific and concrete examples, and you're connecting different parts of your life together, or you're connecting things in your life to the wider world or school or something else. Of course, they're looking for an essay. Did they say essay? They're looking for a short essay response. I'm not sure, it doesn't give an exact word count, but to me, short essay response, you're talking about a few hundred words, right? So that means you'll have to go a little more in depth than like what you would typically do for a reflection question for an assignment or something like that. But luckily, hopefully, you have a few more things to say about who you are than you have to say about random assignment. So yeah, you can talk about like literally anything. If you have something that takes a big part of your life that is kind of interesting, that could be something to include. Like you can include many things, but I would tend to not include too many things, but include fewer things and talk more about them. So, for example, say you are a music-loving person who loves to ski and I don't know, you like to cook or something, but you also have all these other hobbies. Well, instead of writing like one sentence about each of your hobbies, write 100 words or a paragraph about each of skiing, cooking, and what was the other thing I said? Music. That question, how would your family, friends, and or members of your community describe you? How can you answer a question like that? Well, you could ask your family, friends, and members of your community, hey, what do you think about me? When you think of me, what do you think of? That is often a interesting exercise that tells you something about yourself that you may not have known before. So that's always interesting to do. Or you could just kind of imagine their response. Mr. Wu is very serious all the time. Or Mr. Wu likes to talk a lot. Or Mr. Wu is a really relaxed teacher. You can imagine what people will say about you. Those are just examples, by the way. And then you can comment on that. Okay, so people might say I'm like very serious, but they don't necessarily know the fun side of me, the side that I keep inside, etc., etc. So that's how you would kind of tackle a problem like that. Talk about your interests, your hobbies, things that are important to you. Maybe, and that's just getting into the next question: what is important to you and why? What is important to you and why? I guess. Maybe you don't know. Maybe all you're trying to do is, get into university so that you can get a good job and so that you have a good job. Okay, yes, but those aren't like interesting things that are going to make you stand out. So you have to look a little deeper inside yourself and say, what really is important to you? And we have done some of this work, or we've talked about some of these issues. For example, when we talk about the career and the career octopus, and we talked about the arms of the octopus and which ones are important. Like, is the environment important to you? Is like security and money important to you? All those kind of questions. Is having an exciting job important to you? Is family really important to you? It's such a vague question, and because it's a vague question, it's very open, very general. You can go wherever you want with it. And in a way, what we do with our deep dives every week, we have a deep dive, and those are very open and vague assignments also. You can take them where you want. So you can think of those deep dives as a way of preparing to answer questions like this. Let's give an example. For example, say, I know a lot of people in this class, they're really into music. You're in like band, strings, whatever. And okay, great. Like, that's important to you, obviously. Why is it important? Why do you take these classes? Why do you get up early to take these classes? Why do you get up early to go to those classes, but you won't get up early to come to CLE online or CLE off timetable? Seriously, like, music, obviously, big priority for a lot of people. Can you talk more about that? What does it do? What role does it play in your life? How does it make you feel good to do that? Is it because you're part of a team? Is it because you are working towards something bigger? Is it because you can be a leader? Is it because you are creating something beautiful in the world? These are all like awesome things that you can say in your little essay that are, probably true if you really stop and think about, why the heck am I staying until, 5 o'clock on Tuesday and Thursdays to be in strings or whatever it is? Why am I using 2 of my, 8 blocks to take music courses? Also applies to lots of other things, woodworking, art, whatever. So lots of different ways that you can go with questions like this. The next one, describe up to 5 activities that you've pursued or accomplishments achieved in one or more of the following areas. Please outline the nature of your responsibilities within these activities in the club, family, community, creative or performing arts, work, employment, athletics, volunteer, service to others, and others. Okay, so we just talked about some of this stuff when we're talking about extracurricular activities and work, employment, and stuff. Obviously, things like creative performing arts, athletics, those also fall into kind of extracurricular kind of activities. What are they looking for here? Well, number one, I think I would say number one, what they're looking for is kind of leadership. So if you have played any kind of a leadership role in any of these areas, definitely get that on there. Not only like, yes, I was the captain, or I was like the equipment manager, or I was the treasurer, but like, what did you do? How were you one of the leaders? So that's pretty important. I would say that's maybe number one, what they're looking for. Another thing that they're looking for is, does this person have the ability to work well with other people? So that's one of the focuses of our in person sessions, as you know. But yeah, that's definitely one thing that people are looking for, because lifelong kind of skill that you will need. Another thing that they're looking for is there some kind of bigger goal that they are working towards that shows that they are kind of dedicated and willing to stick with something for a long time, working really hard to achieve this big goal of some kind. So that can be, that can be like, you're part of the soccer team that wants to win the provincial championship, or that can be like you are part of the school play, and you had to practice every night for 3 months or something. Working towards a bigger goal. So looking for things like that. A couple that we haven't really mentioned too much was family and community responsibilities. I would say if you are a person who just kind of, you are part of your family and you're a good part of your family, but you haven't really taken on extra leadership beyond like you're a student, you're a high school student, and your parents or whoever takes care of you. If you haven't gone beyond that, like if you haven't taken a big leadership role in caring for, I don't know, younger siblings or other people, then if you're just kind of the typical case, I'm not sure that that's going to make you stand out. So that might be something that you leave out. Family responsibilities. I mean, okay, sure, maybe you are responsible for washing the dishes after dinner every night. That's not really the kind of family responsibility that they think they're kind of looking for. Although, good for you, you should do that. Volunteer and service to others, they're obviously looking for, you are making some contribution to your community in some way, and doing it kind of out of the goodness of your heart. That is important. But while you're doing it, maybe you're showing some kind of leadership in that regard as well. And if you do, that is definitely something to put on there. Tell us about one or two activities listed above that are most important. Please explain the role you played and what you learned in the process. So yeah, what we're kind of just talking about. Be, again, like whenever you're doing any of these, be specific, give actual examples. Yes, I was in the school play. The school play was called whatever. It ran from this date until this date. This was my job, and here is one of the problems that I had and how I solved it. Those kind of ideas. Additional info, you may wish to use the space below to provide UBC with more info on your academic history and your future academic plans. For example, how did you choose your courses in secondary school? Are there life circumstances that have affected your academic decisions to date? What have you done to prepare yourself specifically for your intended area of study at UBC? So pretty, I think, basic questions. If you have something to say, like how did you choose your courses in secondary school? Well, my teacher back in CLE 10 had us do this worksheet. Well, no, not really. This is not what they're looking for. They're looking for deeper reasons of why you chose things, right? And then please submit the names of 2 referees. And we mentioned we mentioned before that most teachers, I would think, are happy to do things like that as long as you give them proper notice and give them the information that they need in order to do stuff like that. We'll skip over this Bachelor of Education and Bachelor of Commerce part because those are kind of specific. But yeah, if you're applying for UBC Business, which I think a few of you are interested in, those are things that you will have to look into. How UBC evaluates your personal profile. Their trained readers will read and evaluate your personal profile and compare it with profiles written by other UBC applicants. So again, how are you standing out? They're reading like 3,000 of these. Why is yours different? So important to stand out. We're not looking for a particular experience. There are no right or wrong answers. Your profile will be assessed against 4 criteria. Engagement and accomplishment. So how do you pursue your interests and manage your responsibilities? What do you do with your time when you're not in class? What would you or others in your community consider to be your most significant contributions and accomplishments? Whether it's winning an international award or taking care of a younger sibling, any experience can teach you something about yourself and or the world around you. We want to know what you have been doing and what you have learned from your experiences. Make sure to give specific examples. So literally 100% taken from my lesson on reflecting, right? And important that they're putting winning an international award on the same footing as taking care of a younger sibling. You might say, wow, winning an international award may be like way harder, and maybe it is, but they're saying that any experience can teach you something about yourself and or the world around you. So it's not what you did, although it is kind of what you did, but it's also how you are reflecting on it. How are you connecting it to things in the world? So that, again, those reflection skills are coming back here. Leadership, I already talked so much about leadership, I'm just going to skip that and you can read that on your own. Substance, have you spent sufficient time reflecting on what you want to say? Have you answered the questions in a detailed and meaningful way? Is the content of your personal profile superficial or cliched, or are you presenting interesting, well thought out, and relevant ideas? Remember that trained UBC readers will be reviewing and comparing thousands of personal profiles. The best way to stand out is by making sure you have something meaningful and insightful to say. Again, really, it's what I said before about in the reflection lesson. Like, say something real, say something that gives details. Yeah, they've said this like multiple times already in these few paragraphs. Like, they're tired of reading boring, generic personal profiles. They want to see something different. And so it's your job to show them that's something different. Finally, voice. Communication is important. Have you written a personal profile that is genuine and unique to who you are? Does your profile authentically reflect your words? Will your voice stand out in a meaningful way, or will your profile read like many others? Literally saying the exact same thing, right? They want to see something different. They want to see something unique. They've literally said that like 3 times. Maybe they said it here too. We just didn't even read it. So that's UBC. But it's not just UBC, and so hopefully you haven't clicked close on the video here because I don't plan to go to UBC. Well, this is actually relevant for anything that you're going to do. It's relevant for other university applications. It's relevant for scholarships. It's relevant for letters, whatever, references. People are going to give you references. So all those things, you should be using the same ideas that you want to stand out, and you want to present to yourself, first of all, that you've had lots of different experiences and that you've learned something from them and that you can connect them in a meaningful way to the world around you or to your future self or whatever. I'm hoping that in this course, this CLE course, I'm trying to expose you to many different ideas and ways of thinking, and hopefully that will give you things to connect your experiences to, right? We talked about artificial intelligence. And so, maybe some of your experiences you can somehow link to this idea of that artificial intelligence, and you're concerned that it may be an issue in the future. So I'm trying to give you exposure to a lot of different ideas so that you have a lot of that inside your head when you're doing things like this, and then you can do a much better job of it. All right, that is it for this lesson, and we'll see you in the next one.